All right, I'm gonna make this because a few people have asked me for it. Excuse my kids screaming in the background if you hear them. This is a Blade 400. Now this came as a flybar heli. I've had a couple of people that have asked me what I've done because they say theirs are just gathering dust because they can't get parts for them, especially for the head. Main shafts are non-existent for this heli anymore. Feathering shafts are even more non-existent for the heli. So if you want to switch this helicopter to flybarless, let me start with the flybarless part first, and then we'll move on to the tail section because you can't get tail parts for it anymore either. So the head is a Line DFC head. I think this head kit is $50. All right. The main shaft is a T-Rex 450 SE tail shaft, main shaft. Now, it's the same diameter, the right diameter. It will work in the helicopter. One of the issues is it doesn't quite make it all the way into the bottom carrier bearing, bottom bearing block, if at all. But I haven't noticed an issue with the gear moving too much or any problems whatsoever, and I've flown this helicopter a ton. You can use your stock swash plate. You're gonna have to get different control links. What else? But that's it to change the head over to an FBL head. That's what I suggest doing with this helicopter. I mean, it's gonna cost you $50 if you have a K-bar laying around. You know, use it. If you don't, that's another 30. So for $80, you can kind of transform this into a brand new helicopter, honestly. This is an Align 450 main gear with an Align one-way bearing. I like this setup much better than the original 400 because this is a bolt-in bearing. It can be changed. The gear can be changed. You can keep using the same bearing. The 400 bearings are pressed in, if I remember correctly. So I highly suggest just buying the Align 450 gear and the Align one-way bearing. This heli has analog servos on it. Don't let anybody tell you analog can't handle FBL because it flies fine with analog servos. They may not be as powerful, but they can handle some pretty decent pitch pumps if your head speed's up there. And I lied, I actually have one MG90S cheap digital analog servo or digital servo on here. So that's the FBL part if you want to swap this to FBL. The other part of this heli that's an excellent upgrade because this is not available anymore. A lot of the stuff back here ain't available anymore. So this is a 450 tail, 450 stabilizer, 450 struts, 450 tail case, tail shaft, bearings, everything, grips, whole 450 back end here. In order to do this, because I believe the Blade 400 comes with the stock 10 millimeter tail. I purchased a 12 millimeter drill bit and I drilled out the tail block, 12 millimeter. Now you can't just drill the tail block. You're gonna have to also file the two halves of the frame so they'll squeeze tighter on the tail. The one problem with this is when you do this is you lose your notch in your tail boom for the anti-rotation. And I can't remember if I lost that notch because I had to cut the tail boom shorter or if the tail boom, the Blade 450 tail boom just doesn't, oh no, that I lost it because when you drill out the tail block with a 12 millimeter bit, you're gonna drill that notch right out. That keeps us from rotating. So you won't have that, the anti-rotation factor. So you just gotta make sure you're really tight on your tail block, really tight on your rear stabilizer. And I suggest, I'm gonna 3D print a clamp. I suggest getting a clamp for here that you can clamp on the boom. So you pull the boom out, tighten the tail block and tighten the clamp. And that'll keep the tail boom from sliding in if it's not super tight. So I may try and do that tonight. The whole back end's a 450. The belt is the same length. The tail boom's the same length. You still end up with your window in the boom. So I highly suggest, if you want to revive this helicopter and you're looking for something to do, swap this all to 450. It is a little bit of work and a little bit of money, but if you screwed up your tail already, what do you have to lose? You just, instead of buying 400 parts, which you can't get, you're gonna buy 450 parts, and all you gotta do is drill the block out and file the center half down, and you're on a 450 tail. All this is available. And you know, some people are gonna say, yeah, you can just go buy the 400 or just buy 10 millimeter carbon fiber tube and make a tail boom out of that, but it's really not worth it because you still can't find all the whole back end for the 400. So just bite the bullet, drill the tail block, buy 450 stuff, and you'll have availability in parts for a while. These are Blade 330X landing gear. I believe it's 330. The holes don't line up. The front holes line up, the rear holes won't line up, so I drilled new ones through the frame. Stock motor. Everything else is stock, except for the parts that I mentioned. So I highly suggest reviving this little helicopter if you can by buying the new head, new shaft. And if you have any questions, just message me. I'm more than happy to help anybody out. Thank you.